Good morning, dear children. Welcome back. In today's session, we are going to continue our discussion of Class 7, Term 3, Unit 2 in History, Art and Architecture of Tamilnadu. This is Part 5 of the video series. Come children, let us learn. Before going into today's session, let us have a recap of what we learned in the last ones. Dears, in the last sessions, we discussed about the different epochs. In Tamilnadu, the evolution of temple architecture took place in 5 stages. They are Pallava epoch, that is AD 600 to 850, early Chola epoch, AD 850 to 1100, later Chola epoch, 1100 to 1350, Vijayanagara or Naik epoch, which is AD 1350 to 1600, and modern epoch after AD 1600. We learned about the Pallava epoch. The Pallava epoch witnessed a transition from rock-cut to freestanding temples. Rock-cut temples were initially built by carving a rock to the required design, and then rocks were cut to build temples. Pallava king Mahendravarman was a pioneer. Mandagathapattu temple was the first rock-cut temple built by him. The Shore temple at Mahabalipuram, also called as the 7 pagodas, was built by the Pallava king Narasimhavarman II. It is the oldest structural temple in South India. Narasimhavarman II, also known as Rajasimha, built the Kanchi Kailasnatha temple. The Vaikunta Perumal temple at Kanchipuram was built by Nandivarman II. The Tamil Dravida tradition is exemplified by rock-cut monuments such as the Panjapandava Ratha, namely the Draupadi Ratha, Dharmaraja Ratha, Bhima Ratha, Arjuna Ratha and Nagula Sahadeva Ratha. The Arjuna's pennants carved on the face of a granite boulder is a magnificent relief measuring approximately 100 feet long and 45 feet high. We also learned about the Pandya temples in the Pallava epoch. Early Pandyas were the contemporaries of the Pallavas. Pandyas installed deities in the sanctums in their cave temples. The most important temples are found in Maliyarikuruchi, Aanaimalai, Tiruparankundram and Tiruchirappalli. Rock-cut temple and structural temples are a significant part of the Pandya architecture. The illustrious examples of rock-cut style is unfinished Kalugamalai Vetuvan Koil temple. Meenakshi Amman temple in Madurai, Nellayappa temple in Tirunelveli represent examples of Pandya's architectural style. The walls of the caves are decorated with bas-reliefs of gods and goddesses. Caves at Sittanvasal, 15 kilometers away from Pudukkottai and Tirumalapuram in Sankaran Koil Taluk, Tirunelveli, have outstanding early Pandya paintings. Sittanvasal was a residential cave of the Jain monks and they painted the walls with fresco paintings. The Sittanvasal paintings have similarities with the Ajanta paintings. Dears, we also learned about the early Chola epoch. The early Chola epoch, the temple at Dadapuram near Dindivanam in Tamil Nadu is worth mentioning. We also discussed about the later Chola epoch. The maturity attained by Chola architecture is reflected in 2 magnificent temples of Thanjavur and Gangaikonda Cholapuram. The magnificent Thanjavur Big Temple is dedicated to Shiva, completed around AD 1009, is a fitting memorial to the material achievements of the time of Rajaraja. At the time of Big Temple of Thanjavur was constructed, it was a huge temple complex. The 216 feet Vimana, that is the structure over the Garbhagriha, is notable as it is one among the tallest man-made shikaras of the world. It is also called as Dakshina Meru because of its massive height. The Brigadeshwara temple of Gangaikonda Cholapuram built by Rajendra Chola is undoubtedly a worthy successor to the Brigadeshwara temple of Thanjavur. The height of the temple is 55 meters. Dharasuram near Kumbakonam is a later Chola period temple rich in architectural splendor dedicated to Airavateshwarar. Rajaraja II constructed this temple. This temple is another landmark of Chola architecture. The contribution of later Pandyas to South Indian art was significant. The cave temple at Pilliyarpatti, belonging to the 13th century, has its sculptures and inscription. A beautiful Ganesha is carved facing the entrance. It is called as Desi Vinayaka in cave inscription, and there are two arms with a trunk turning to the right. The Vijayanagara epoch saw the new formation of construction with mandapams to where the gods are carried every year. The main features of Vijayanagar and Nayak architecture are decorated mandapas, ornamental pillars, life-size images, gopuras, prakaras, music pillars, floral works and stone windows during the 15th to 17th centuries. The Kalyana Mandapam at Kanchipuram, Varadaraja Perumal Temple and at Vellore, Jalagandeshwara Temple are notable examples. The most celebrated of these mandapams in the temple of Madurai is the Pudu Mandapam. Vijayanagar and Nayak paintings are seen at the Varadaraja Perumal Temple at Kanchipuram, Kodal Azhagalar Temple at Madurai and temples of Srivilliputturu, Thiruvellarai and Azhagar Koil, Thiruvannamalai and even in Srirangam. The paintings mostly have the stories from Ramayana, palace scenes and mythological stories. In this session, we will discuss about the modern period, that is after AD 1600. Dear children, now let us learn about the modern period. The Sedupatis, as the feudatories of Madurai Nayaks, ruled Ramanathapuram and contributed to the Ramanatha Swami temple architecture. In the temple of Rameshwaram, the predominance of corridors is striking. It is claimed that this temple has the longest set of corridors in the world. It has 3 sets of corridors. You can find, dear children, in the Ramanatha Swami temple at Ramanathapuram, you can find the importance of corridors. You can find the longest set of corridors in the world in the temple over there. You can see the temple corridor of Ramanatha Swami at Rameshwaram. Dear children, the outer set of the temple's corridors has a height of almost 7 meters and stretches for about 120 meters in both the eastern and western directions. So you can see the outer temple corridor has a height of 7 meters and it is stretching over 120 meters in both directions, east as well as west. The corridors to the north and to the south, on the other hand, are about 195 meters in length. You can find the corridors towards the north and south are longer compared to that of east and west. The outer corridor is also remarkable for the number of pillars that support it, which is over 1200 in number. So you can see the outer corridor is supported by more than 1200 pillars. Moreover, many of these pillars are decorated by ornate carvings. I am showing you the picture of a pillar there. You can find ornate carvings, the carvings that are done. The innermost set of corridor is the oldest of the 3. Dear children, it is time for us to go to the summary. To sum up, the Pallava period featured sculptured rocks. You can see the sculptural rocks there. Rock cut temples. The early Chola period was marked by grand vimanas. The later Chola period was known for beautiful gopurams. Vijayanagar period's unique feature was a mandapam, and the modern period was when corridors were given prominence. Now let us go through the glossary, my dears. Indigenous, I-N-D-I-G-E-N-O-U-S. Indigenous is native. Epoch, E-P-O-C-H. Epoch is era or age. Sanctum, S-A-N-C-T-U-M. Sanctum is a sacred place set apart in a temple. Decadent, D-E-C-A-D-E-N-T. Decadent is corrupt or a state of moral decline. Exemplified, E-X-E-M-P-L-I-F-I-E-D. Exemplified is illustrated or represented. Niche, N-I-C-H-E. Niche is a cavity, especially in a wall, to display a statue. Motif, motif. Motif is a decorative design forming a pattern in an artistic work. Boulder, boulder. Boulder is a very large rock. Contemporaries, contemporaries. Contemporaries are living or occurring at the same time. Hewn, hewn. Hewn is cut out and shaped. Bas relief, basrelief. Bas relief is a sculpture carved into a wall. Execution, execution. Execution is carrying out. Recesses, recesses. Recesses is hollow spaces inside the wall or a structure. Now it is time for us to recap. Dear children, in this session we discussed about modern period, that is after AD 1600. And we learned the contributions of Setupatis, who were the feudatories of the Madurai Nayaks, who ruled the Ramanathapuram, and they contributed to the Ramanatha Swami temple there. You can find the corridor of the temple is very, very prominent, which is the longest in the world. And the outer corridor has got more than 1200 pillars that support it, and they are also covered with ornate carvings. Dear children, in the next session we will do the evaluation part. It is time for worksheet number 5. Roman number 1, answer the following. Discuss how the architecture of Vijayanagara and Nayak period was different from one of the Pallavas and later Cholas. Discuss how the architecture of Vijayanagara and Nayak period was different from the ones of Pallavas and later Cholas. Question number 2. Temple art was at its best during the Nayak period. Elucidate. Temple art was its best during the Nayak period. Elucidate. That's all for today's session, my dear children. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Samacheer Kalvi Guide. Thank you. Stay blessed.